You want to get high, man?
Let's stimulate your mind.
Get up, Chucky!
What have we got here? A fucking comedian.
Rojan Kim?
California dreaming.
Hello, and welcome to the Rojan Kimcast. It's me, Rojan Kim. Thank you for joining me in this lovely November morning. Is it a morning? November rain? November night? November, whatever day it is, or night. I mean, it's probably not even November. You could be listening to this in the future. So, if so, greetings, future listener. I know it's probably, we're in the middle of Trump's third term, and you're looking back to see what life was like before the great collapse. Who knows? I mean, hey, maybe people are right. Maybe he is the next despot coming in. The next Hitler, the next, I don't know. I don't give the guy that much credit, though. It's like, really, that guy? I mean, people thought Bush was the next Hitler, you know, because he did all the shit Hitler did, got rid of our rights, attacked the press, you know, all that stuff. And then Obama, people thought Obama was Hitler on the other side because he was, like, putting away whistleblowers and drone striking motherfuckers extrajudicially, right? That's kind of Hitler-esque. And now Trump is like Hitler because he's, like, putting people in cages. We already did that. But we're putting people in cages. And we're just openly racist. I mean, we used to be openly racist. But we're doing it again, kind of. Not really. I mean, not like openly, but kind of openly. You know, kind of. But not really. It's all... I don't know. It's hard. It's easy to just be like, fuck this, like, right? Just check out and be like, who gives a fuck? It doesn't matter. How does this really affect you? How does this really affect me? Fuck it. Let's just eat food and buy stuff, right? I don't know. I mean, I agree that it is ridiculous, I guess, to get too caught up in it. And it furthermore seems ridiculous to be sort of basing this on, basing like your thoughts on the official explanation for everything. See, a lot of people are like, you know, still hold up the New York Times as a bastion of truth, but it's been long gone. You know, the New York Times, I think ever since 9/11, since they, you know, didn't do anything really to help WMDs be uncovered as a hoax, you know, sort of pushing the whole thing and pushing the war altogether, it's been clear that, you know, they're on the side of the warmongers. They're on the side of business. You know, they're not really there. They're just trying to make a buck like everybody else. But if that's so, if you're trying to make a buck, that comes at the expense of the truth, because sometimes the truth, as in the truth in journalism, it's not very lucrative. You know, it's not something companies want to hear or want you to tell people, or the government wants you to tell people. You know, it's bad for business. So I feel like the Times has played ball for a while. Most mainstream news has been playing ball. Ball meaning just look at what is and what isn't reported. What is reported? A lot of partisan stuff, right? A lot of stuff about Trump, Ukraine now. Now it's the impeachment hearings. Big old deal, right? People are watching. That's a new thing to watch. Watch the impeachment hearings, everybody, right? Ratings are through the roof. Watch it. I'm going to let it save up. You know, I'm going to save them all up so I can binge watch it later, okay? I don't like this daily. What is this? What are we in fucking the 20s? What is this, a newsreel footage thingy? I just stream it. Put it all on Netflix and let's stream the impeachment. What are we impeaching for, though? I'm just curious. Listen, so this whole time the dude's been president, the allegation has been that he was put in by Russia, or that Russia manipulated the election so that he would win. So meaning that without Russia, Hillary would have won. And because of Russia, Trump. Now, of course, a lot of people are taking partisan sides in this, right? They're being like, oh, dude, it's like Republicans obviously feel that Trump is innocent and Democrats all are obviously in line with the truth of what happened, that Trump invited Russia to hack the election, and they did, and he colluded with them, the foreign government. He's treason. It's treason. He's treasonous. He's treasonous. He's treasonous. Okay. Fine. So what do we call treason? what are we calling treason? Aiding and abetting an enemy. That's sort of the definition, I believe. Aiding and abetting an enemy. And so Russia, in this case, is the enemy that we aided and abetted. That is the claim, right? The claim of treason. Now, this is supposed to be along partisan lines, but let's just take somebody like Noam Chomsky, right? Noted right-wing conservative Noam Chomsky, who says this whole thing is ridiculous to him because if you look at the actions of the United States in terms of foreign policy, all the stuff they did while Trump was president in regards to Russia was bad for Russia. I mean, if we're supposed to be a puppet of Russia now, why are we expanding NATO, right? Why are we getting rid of the nuclear weapons treaty, which actually hurts them, Russia, right? Actually forces them to catch up to our weaponry. Why are we still, why aren't we capitulating to them? Why did we fund the Ukraine? Under Trump, we funded Ukraine and gave them weapons so they could fight Russia. Why would we do that? Unless, people are going to say, well, it's like 4D chess, it's like, at that point, everything's 4D chess, right? I mean, that's not an explanation. It's like, oh, the evidence goes against what the claim is, but that's exactly the proof of conspiracy. I mean, that's fucking ridiculous, right? The very proof against conspiracy is proof of conspiracy. That's when you're trapped in this cycle, right? This paranoid cycle where then you just have to believe the story because the facts won't matter. It doesn't matter how the facts look or if you investigate it. Not if the overwhelming story is that everything is being manipulated and it's all fake, then there's no point in uncovering anything. But that seems very convenient for the people trying to shape the narrative, right? The people trying to tell us constantly that this is what happened. The Russians, Trump, this. Now it's Ukraine. Now he's like, oh, Ukraine, quid pro quo. He called Ukraine to, get something out of them for money. They're trying to impeach him for that, saying that that's treason. Okay, so Ukraine, the enemy of Russia, suddenly now we're trying to impeach Trump over. It's not Russia anymore. It's Ukraine. Those fucking retards in the country won't know the difference between Ukraine and Russia. Everybody thinks it's the same. Like you don't see what bullshit this all is. Meanwhile, the things we could get him for, war crimes, we could get him on those, right? Extrajudicial wars, the war against the Yemen population that's being conducted by the Saudi Arabians, funded, not funded, but let's say, they're funding us. The Saudis are buying weapons off of us, right, in droves. We sell shitloads of weapons to the Saudis, and they're using those weapons on the Yemenis, and without a War Powers Act, we've been letting this happen. Congress even tried to stop Trump, which he vetoed the bill, saying that, hey, you got to stop bombing Yemen, and he said veto. All of this is probably not constitutional, right? None of this is constitutional. Probably could get him for that. There's probably a good case to be made that, Trump committed treason just the same exact way Obama committed treason, by helping to give money and aid, arms, aiding and abetting the enemy, in which case the enemy here is Al-Qaeda, of course. Like in Syria, for instance, Operation Timber Sycamore, I'll just say it over and over, we funded, the rebels, quote unquote, against Assad, and some of those rebels happen to be Al-Qaeda, okay, or have links to Al-Qaeda. Honestly, we just didn't know. We were just giving out weapons, being like, yeah, beat that guy, and in the end, the guys going after the guy we wanted out were actually the guys we were fighting in the first place, who supposedly we were fighting this whole war of terror against, Al-Qaeda, right? That's supposed to be the enemy. I mean, sure, Al-Qaeda ends up fighting ISIS, and ISIS became the enemy, and Al-Qaeda kind of begot ISIS, right? ISIS is kind of an Al-Qaeda spinoff, but they weren't down with each other. They had real, big flaw, differences. Like ISIS really wanted like a land-based caliphate, and Al-Qaeda is more of a sort of international, global thingamajig, right? They, they were at odds with each other, and we ended up funding Al-Qaeda. I guess we just forgot. So then it was a big deal when we got Baghdadi. We bagged Baghdadi, yeah, Baghdadi. But what about Al-Qaeda? What? The guys we ended up funding under Obama, under Trump, really could go back to Bush. The fact that Bush wasn't impeached for war crimes by Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi was the one who was like, yeah, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it, right? You know why? Because Obama goes on, the other side goes on to commit war crimes. And that way, yeah, nothing happened to him, right? And that way, when Trump goes on to commit war crimes, as he is now, nobody will try to impeach him for that. That's why all this impeachment shit is bullshit. Did I do this? Did I say this already? Probably, but I'm saying it again because why is this on the news? This is what's on the news all the time, right? And then I have to, and people are arguing online. Sometimes they argue with me. There's that thing about, well, in the Mueller report, it says we did not find that the president did not commit or a crime, or found no evidence that he did not commit a crime, right? Which is some backwards doublespeak, right? But he also says that there was no evidence to show that he did commit a crime. No evidence of a crime was found. Like, so he says both things, right? It's all bullshit. The whole thing is bullshit. Why are we looking into this, right? Why this and not the fucking war shit? You know, and really maybe the tax shit will uncover some stuff, right? Probably not about the election, just some shady money stuff. But that's why. All right, let's step away. Let's step away, guys, because this is the whole thing, right? The reality that we see, right, that is being presented to us is not actually what it is objectively, or whatever that is. Can there be objective reality? We don't even know. I think the objectiveness of reality is crumbling, right? Because there's too much subjectivity everywhere. Everything is being kind of sold to us, right? Everything is like marketed. Everything is sold. The news is now trying to find what side you're on and just cater to that. There's no like middle. There's no truth. There's no real like attempt to find what it is that's actually going on, except maybe science. Maybe, you know, deep in the bowels of science, they're still doing it because science begets technology, and technology is a money maker. You know what I'm saying? So it makes money. It's also, you know, technology will help us in war. War is a money maker. All the money makers, we got to keep on making money. So we're going to shield them from culture. But culture itself seems to be breaking down the scientific foundation of our society. Just this idea that reason should prevail, that we should use reason and logic, grammar, rhetoric. All these things are actually important in order for us to progress as a society. Philosophy, you know, these things that in times of antiquity, actually like 100 years ago even, not that long ago, we still held very valuable, and it was a big part of forming the human mind, forming a free-thinking individual, forming somebody who wasn't just some kind of automaton. Is that right? Automation. Automaton. Yeah, I guess so. All right. Well, anyways, just somebody who's capable of free thought and fucking critical thinking, right? Somebody who's able to be like, what? That doesn't sound right. Wait, what is that? 4 out of 5 doctors agree. What does that have to do with anything, right? 90% less than what? You know, just things where you start asking questions, right? Nowadays, it's tough to ask questions. Can't really ask a lot of questions. Can't really ask questions like, wait, why is, like, if Trump didn't get elected, then how come Hillary lost twice? How come she lost to Obama and she lost to Trump and she lost to Bernie? How come they had to rig the thing to get, and how come the treasonous thing that we're saying that was uncovered by WikiLeaks via the Russian government helping Trump win was actually the dirty laundry of the DNC? Why is that? I don't know. Okay. So it just so happens that when it comes to the real shit like war, shit like why is the wealth being extracted out of this country? Why does nobody have any money? What the fuck is going on? Why is all the wealth being concentrated into a tiny little place? Why are the banks, why is nobody in trouble for all the shenanigans from the banks? Why do we not have healthcare? Why do we have the most ass-kickingest military but the shittiest healthcare? Why is that? Why is it that we can deploy 50,000 men, 72 hours anywhere, but 50,000 people die every year in this country of no health care. Why is that? I don't know. But none of these questions, are they going to be answered? No. The war, the forever war, is that going to keep going on? Why is that? The war on drugs, the drug thing, we're going to keep doing that too? The private prisons, we're going to keep doing that? The lack of infrastructure's crumbling. Anybody going to Flint with no water, the privatization of municipalities leading to the poisoning of people. Anybody going to, the sort of wealthy extracting everything they can out of the poor neighborhoods, Wall Street privatizing, buying up like cities, municipalities, say, for instance, like Flint. So you buy their shit and then you divert their pipeline from a clean water source to a dirty water source in order to save some fucking money until you find out that the dirty water is corroding the GM plant. So then you switch the plant's water to the clean water, but the people fucking die. That's what I found out watching Fahrenheit 11/9 and Michael Moore's new movie. It's not new. It came out last year. The thing about Michael Moore, yeah, he makes a good film, but God, Jesus Christ, it's so transparent sometimes where you're just like, come on, man, you gotta do all this, he'll like have footage of Hitler and then have Trump playing under, and it's just like, it's a bit much. It's a bit much, and he buys his whole Russia thing. I'm the weird one, right? I'm the one, but it's not just me, Jimmy Dore, Noam Chomsky. I mean, most people, like a lot of comedians, a lot of fucking free thinkers, they don't buy this Russia shit. Matt Taibbi, they don't like that. Glenn Greenwald, they don't buy it, right? Because the facts didn't line up. The facts don't matter. You gotta just bow down. You gotta be like, okay, yes, of course, Russian asset. You gotta full-throated support white nationalists. You gotta like just repeat what they say because that's what's important now. That's what's important. This was not what I thought I'd be talking about, but here I am talking about this. Do I want to talk about? I want to talk about Epstein. Okay. Everybody's like, not everybody, but there's Epstein. It's still in the news, right? Still in the news. He didn't do it. Did he do it? Did he kill himself? Was he suicided? We don't know. Nobody knows. I mean, what does it mean? But what I think is really funny is online, I'll see some people being like, I am tired of these Epstein memes. So tired of these Epstein memes. It's like, yeah, of course. I get it. Who wouldn't be tired, right? The same thing over and over. Who wouldn't be tired of somebody trying to bring up the fact that the most prolific pedophile in America was possibly murdered in his cell while the guards both fell asleep and the cameras conveniently turned off for 3 hours. Of course it's the official story. Of course you just believe the official story that he killed himself, and there's nothing left to this story. There's no need to pay attention to the fact that two presidents on either side of the aisle are connected to this guy, that the most rich and powerful people in the world are all connected to this guy, and this guy had probably footage of all of them fucking women, at the very least, probably some underage. I mean, but that's just so boring. Who wants to hear about the fact that he had an island where he had a temple with girls there and people would fly over to his island? Some people many, many times, like Bill Clinton, at least 26, possibly up to 40 times on the plane. Why I keep bringing that up, though? It's so, God, it's so boring and it's so lame, and everybody's saying the same thing over and over and over. Oh, my God. Even though the mainstream news isn't saying shit about it, even though that thing that came out from Project Veritas about that lady saying that they knew for 3 years and they squashed it because the palace told them that they would never see Will and Kate ever again. Even though that it points to high-level corruption, just corruption of the highest sort from the rich, the powerful, the elite on our news media, which is supposedly here to inform us and provide a check against business and government, is in fact colluding with business and government. And, but who cares, right? That's so boring. Like, why I keep talking about that? Why I keep talking about the fact that enablers are basically entire networks of people in industries such as entertainment and politics that allow pedophiles, not just Epstein, but the entire dossier, black book of pedophiles that he knew, all the rich and powerful people, that they're all enabled by an even larger network of people who are all complicit in sex crimes, in the raping of children, in murder, all kinds of things. You name it. right? It's going on right under our noses, and if any one of us would even dare try to commit those crimes, it'd be over for us. But for them, the rich and powerful and the enablers, they get away scot-free, okay? So that's just the way it is, right? So why keep bringing it up? God, I'm tired of these goddamn memes, right? These goddamn memes. Stop it, right? I'm so bored of these memes reminding us of the inherent corruption in our society that actually undermines the very moral foundation of our culture, so that whenever we as a culture try to make a stance on morality, let's say like in China or something, and say, hey, you don't do that, you can just point to us. People can just point to us and be like, well, clean your own house first. Look at your house. Look at what you're doing. Look at the vast corruption. Look at the child rape. Look at what's going on, the exploitation, and people getting away with it scot-free. Look, we know Epstein, but what about all the people? You don't think there was a staff helping? You know, we know Ghislaine Maxwell, right? We know one lady who was supposed to be the one who hooked up, but what about all the people who worked for both of them? Help this happen. How did he get a townhouse on the Upper West Side for only $1 from the guy who owns Victoria's Secret? None of this matters. Huge Democratic campaign donors. None of this matters. Of course, it's so boring, right? Let's just go back to talking about, your PT Cruiser. Go back to talking about, your fucking car. Go back to talking about some gossip. Go back to talking about like whatever it is you think is so important that needs to supersede anything going on about Epstein, anything going about politics beyond the mainstream discussion, anything beyond that. Let's just forget about it. Why are we talking about it? Why are you bringing it up? It's such a bummer. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because just like I think I was going on last week, but this week I'm going to double down. Fucking truth. Truth is a value that will, in the long run, on a long enough timeline, rear its ugly head. Now, it can happen while we're alive, or it can happen after we're dead. Is this a fucking poem I'm writing? After we're dead, the shit will come out, and then they'll look back and be like, oh, those lying sacks of shit, right? Or, while we're alive, we can fucking fess up to it. We can look at it, and be like, look at what we're doing. Look at where we're headed. We better fucking fix this, right? And the reason, for me, truth is so valuable is because it's affected me personally in my life. Look, I grew up, my dad's on his fucking 5th or 6th wife right now. They divorced. My biological mom left when I was 6 months old. So my first stepmom came when I was like, 2. And then the next one came when I was like 4. And then the next one came when I was around 11. And then the next one came when I was like 20. Okay. So at every stage of my life where I got a new stepmom, up until toward the end where it's too late, my dad basically told me that my stepmom was my real mom, right? Basically just bullshitted me for most of my life, telling me that, this woman was my real mom when she was not, in fact. That was when I was younger. As soon as I got older, it was pretty obvious, hey, wait a minute, this isn't my real mom. Of course, it didn't help that they all kind of looked alike, and that's not, I don't think, a racist thing, I don't think. I mean, can it be? I'm talking about Korean, I'm talking about my own stepmoms. I mean, they were a similar type, so, I don't know if that's what he was doing. I think that has more to do with him than me. I don't think he was trying to trick me so badly that he would go after the same type of woman. I think he just happened to like the same type of woman and conveniently could tell me, no, that's your real mom. The first time when I was like 4, he told me that she was in a coma. Okay. And then the next time when I was like 11 or some shit, I don't know. That time he didn't really say anything. He just said, this is your mom. And you just call her mom, right? And then the one now that he split on, I call her mom out of politeness, but we all know she's not my real mom. But my dad will go on and act like she is, which is funny because he actually ran off on her, the Chinese waitress. So then, see, it's just all bullshit. So you see why truth is so important? You see why truth is so important to me? The other thing is that, like, my grandma divorced her husband, my grandpa, when my dad was a kid, and then it was a whole thing of shame throughout his whole life of her keeping that a secret and then pretending that never happened. But then so that's why my dad's brother, his younger brother, was sort of ostracized from his mom unfortunately, because he was young and was clingy like a dumb baby, and then she got a divorce and married some other dude, and she had to fucking ditch him. My dad was old enough to kind of be cool about it, and not be all clingy, but my uncle was just a baby and a stupid clingy baby, and and so that fucked him up. My dad is a little fucked up. Didn't have a great relationship with his dad, but at least he knew his mom too. And so I don't think he was as fucked up, but he is essentially near sociopathic in his, well, I guess it's a boomer thing. He's just a classic boomer. He just cares about himself. He's harbors resentment against me and the generation before him, and is hoarding all the wealth. So, classic boomer stuff, but whatever. God bless him. He's fucking a millennial. Good for him, and that's the goal, isn't it? That's the goal. Die with your dick and a younger woman. And anyways, so you can see why the truth is important to me. This is why. So I say keep memeing it. Epstein memes. Keep talking about the war. Keep bringing up the stuff that is not polite to bring up in, when we're trying to all have a good time. Why are you bringing up this bummer, man? Why are you bringing up these bummers? Or why do you keep repeating bummers about the corruption of our society and the corruption of the very thing that's supposed to be holding us together, the very thing we're supposed to be fighting for in these 7 wars or however many we are in, the very thing that we're supposed to be all about as Americans. Who cares if it's all crumbling from the inside and it's corrupt and decayed? Who cares? Yeah? Why make fun of it? Why release the pressure of that? Let's just pretend it didn't happen. How's that? Isn't that better? I say no, okay? Because that's exactly what my family tried to do, is pretend none of the bad shit happened. And you know what? It didn't matter. Bad shit was still there, and it got uncovered, and then it made me just lose respect for all the adults in my family. Me, okay? They're all cowards, liars. I couldn't do it. It's fine. It's fine. But that means somebody had to. Somebody like me, somebody like my generation, right? Like we had to go fucking deal with it and deal with what's happening. And we're still kind of bullshitting ourselves and dealing with, we all are. Everybody is. Everybody's bullshitting themselves in some way, some form, because you have to, right? In order to survive. It's just how much of it are you aware of? How much of it are you willing to rectify? How much of it are you willing to look right in the face and be like, you know what? It's my responsibility. I'm going to fucking do something. I'm going to fucking fix this. I know I have to do it. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a pain in the ass, but I know I have to do it, and I fucking will. You know what? I will. And you do it. And you feel good about yourself. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. All right. Well, there you go. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Rojan Kimcast. I think this was episode 114. I'm not quite sure what I should name it. I was going to call it bipartisan, like B-U-Y, partisan. Or I was also going to call it Epstein didn't meme himself. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Come on, guys. Come follow me on the Twitter, on the Instagram, on the Facebook. Go to my website, rojankim.com. Go to my podcast. It's on rojankim.com. And subscribe to it on the podcast platforms like the Stitchers and the Libsyns and the iTunes or Apple or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Just give me a listen. Leave me a review. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good day.